Hi, I'm Denise and welcome to this video about fascia. I wanted to bring together some of the information that I've found in recent months as I've been researching and working with the fascia in my own body, and actually finding benefits from doing so. And that's why I want to share this with you, because the fascia is a system in the body that isn't really very known about. I'd like to think that I know a little bit about the body. I was a nurse for 20 years, so I know a certain amount with certain parameters of the body, but the fascia was something that we didn't know about. And a lot of the early research that was done on the body was actually done with cadavers, with dead bodies. And the fascia of a living being is very different from the fascia of a dead body. So it's only really in the last 10 or 15 years that we're actually starting to learn more about living fascia and what it does in the body and how important the fascia is for our health. Okay, so what is fascia? Fascia is the connective tissue of the body. Fascia connects everything to everything in the body, and it makes us see that our different systems are not separate from each other. They're all connected, and they're all connected through fascia. And of course they're connected. Everything began in one cell. It all started in one cell, so everything has to be connected to everything. In the same way that actually we're all connected to each other on the planet. Everything in the universe is connected to everything, but that's a different story, and I don't want to digress too much. So the fascia is it's collagenous, which is the collagen. So there's a collagen component to the fascia, and the fascia is really beautiful. There's a video, let me see if I can remember the name. There's a video on YouTube, Views of Living Fascia, I think it's called. It's only short, it's only about 7 minutes long. And when the people who filmed this were working on tendons in the body, and they put a very strong microscope in there so they could actually see the fascia. And that's the first time that it's actually been filmed, because fascia doesn't show on things like MRI scans, CT scans, x-rays. And it's a moving, the fascia is a beautiful, organic, moving, very much alive structure of the body. It has different forms. Sometimes it looks like webbing, almost like spider's web, that kind of webbing. And it has structure and form, so some of it looks quite geometrical, and it's very fractal in its nature. And I feel that if we had stronger microscopes than the ones that were used, we would see deeper and deeper levels to the fascia. So it surrounds the organs of the body and connects the nervous system to the brain. It surrounds the bones of the body. The bones are kind of floating really in a mesh of fascia. Even the tendons and the ligaments of the body are actually fascia, but of a different form. Fascia surrounds the muscles of the body, and it's also within the structure of the muscles. I'm not sure about this, but I feel that the fascia will also, as well as surrounding other organs, be part of the component of the inner workings of the organs. Let me just consult my notes, because I want to make sure that I cover everything. If we were to just have the fascia of the body, if there was some bizarre way that you could dissolve the skin and all the organs and everything else in the body apart from the fascia, we'd still know that that was you, because it provides structure to the body. So that's one of its functions, the structure of the body. It also provides elasticity. And when you watch the video of the fascia, you can see that the fascia bifurcates. So it kind of, these little strands separate, and sometimes they let go of another part that it's attached to and then reattach further down the line. And it should, in healthy fascia, be very lubricated. It's part of the way that fluid moves through our body. It also has the functions of transmitting hormones. So hormones such as adrenaline, thyroxine, estrogen, and insulin, the way that they travel around the body is through the fascia. It also transmits neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. It also plays a key role in the immune system of the body. And relatively recently, it was realized that there are many sensory nerve endings held within the fascia. It's been estimated that there are 250 million of these sensory nerve endings in the fascia. So that makes the fascia the largest sensory organ of the body. And actually more sensitive than the eyes and the ears even. It is the biggest and the strongest sensory organ of the body. And there are 6 to 10 times more sensory nerve endings in the fascia than there are in the muscle. So when you're feeling pain around your muscle or in your muscle, it's more likely the fascia that you're actually feeling. The pain is probably coming from the fascia rather than the muscle itself. And one of the things that happens to the fascia when we are stressed, so when your body goes into fight, flight, when the sympathetic nervous system of the body is stimulated and your body goes into fight, flight, the fascia contracts. So we've known for a while that the muscles and the tendons contract in the body when the body's stressed. The contraction gets you ready to run or to fight. And it can also lead to freeze in the body. But it's actually the fascia that contract the muscles and the tendons. So really, more accurately, it would be more accurate to say that it's the fascia that contracts, leading to contraction of the muscles and the tendons. So if you're stressed for long periods of time, and some people, myself included, were in fight flight really for years without fully coming out of it. So when you're in that place, your fascia is contracted the whole time. So the messages are not getting through, your immune system's affected, and that can lead to chronic pain. Because as I mentioned earlier, your fascia, there are layers of fascia, and they should glide smoothly. And when the fascia contracts, and when it's not healthy, it can become sticky and hardened. And these areas that are supposed to glide over each other don't glide so easily. So that can lead to chronic pain in your body. But the good news is that there are many ways to deal with this and make your fascia healthy again. And this is the journey that I've been on over the last few months. Now, I just want to check before I move to that point that I've mentioned some of the other stuff that I wanted to mention. Yeah, so I'll just go back to the nervous system. So I mentioned that there were 250 million. Did I say that? Have I said that enough yet? Have you got that figure? 250 150 million sensory nerve endings in the fascia. So there's a very strong link between the fascia and the nervous system, and also the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is what counteracts the sympathetic nervous system. So your sympathetic nervous system is your fight flight, and your vagus nerve can step in and start to slow down the sympathetic nervous system, therefore slowing down your heart rate and your blood pressure. Just bear with me 1 second while I check. Just to actually mention some of the conditions in the body that are strongly linked to the fascia. So immune disorders, fibromyalgia, ME. There are more, just bear with me. Chronic pain and systemic inflammation. So anybody who is working with those conditions, it would be beneficial for you to work with your fascia, and you may well get really strong benefits from doing that. Okay, so what are some of the ways that we can work with our fascia? Mindful movement is one. Fascia stretching is another. And it's the fascia stretching that I've been really working with in the last few months, and I'll speak to that a little bit more. And within the mindful movement, something else that I've been doing is really connecting with my fascia. So in my own healing journey, I've connected with really every organ of the body, all the bits of the body I've connected with to help release pain, help release trauma, help release emotions that are stuck in those places. And the one area that I really haven't worked with so much is the fascia, which is really kind of crucial. So the fascia holds emotions, it holds pain, and it holds memories. And just to mention in relation to that, when you start your fascia journey, just be mindful of the pace that you're going at, because you may well feel emotions that have been suppressed in your body. You may well feel pain that's been suppressed in your body. And that's a good thing. We need to feel the emotions and we need to feel the pain in order to release them. But I'm just saying to do it at a pace that doesn't overwhelm you. It's a balance between actually feeling things and letting them go, or transmuting them. And it's because we've suppressed these things in our body through not wanting to feel them that they're still in there. If you think to animals in the wild, when they undergo something traumatic, what they do is shake their body. They shake everything out of their body, and then it's forgotten. They can move on. But we don't do anything like that. We just hold on to the pain and the trauma and don't let it go. And actually shaking the body is a good practice. It's a good daily practice to let things go and let the muscles, release what's stored in them, and let the fascia release what's stored in it. Okay, so just to recap over that, because I've digressed from my list. Mindful movement, connecting with the fascia, breath work. These are all really good ways of working with the fascia. Fascia releasing, so things like myofascial release, and fascia stretching, and massage. When your body is massaged, the pressure on the body encourages the fascia to release fluid, so that the fascia is more healthy and can slide over itself more easily. So it's when it becomes hardened and sticky that it doesn't work so well. And lack of movement is one of the ways that the fascia becomes sticky and hardens. And just to mention at this point when I'm talking about sticky fascia, that too much sugar in the bloodstream can also make the fascia sticky. So lack of movement, when you wake up in the morning, you often feel stiff, and that's why, because the fascia has hardened up, but it can soften again. So what mindful movement, connecting with the fascia, breath work, massage, and fascia stretching do is help to melt the fuzz, help to rehydrate the fascia. So just to get an idea of what the structure of the fascia might be like, it's not exactly the same, but if you think of an orange, have you ever peeled an orange? Have you ever eaten an orange, or a tangerine, or a grapefruit? So on the outside, you've got that fibrousy stuff. That is similar to fascia, but it's not. That's perhaps a little bit how the fascia looks when it's not that healthy and it's a little bit hardened. But when you think of the segments of an orange, so if you tear open the segments and inside you see more segments, that is very similar. So you've got the fascia on the outside of the muscle, for example, and then you've got the layers of fascia inside which give it structure. I hope that makes sense. I also want to mention that in Chinese medicine, the fascia is believed to transmit light, and that may be through the fluids. But the fascia has been considered important in Chinese medicine for years. We've been a little bit behind in Western medicine in regards to that. The fascia needs the space to stretch, and that's why fascia stretching is really important. So what happens when you stretch the fascia, those areas where it's been contracted, it just helps to stretch it back into a healthy position. Energy messages go through the fascia. I don't think it's the only route. There are energy lines in the body that messages get transferred through, meridians, but the fascia is another way. Something else to mention in relation to the vagus nerve and helping to switch off the fight-flight in the body is singing or humming. So when you sing or you hum, you stimulate the vagus nerve. And an extra bonus of humming, so when you do that, you're actually stimulating the production of nitrous oxide. And nitrous oxide helps the blood vessels to open up. So one practice might sound a bit wacky, but there you go. Here I am, wacky. One thing that I've been doing recently with the fascia, apart from connecting with it when I'm doing the stretches, is I'm actually singing to the fascia in the body. That might be a bit too out there for some people. That's okay. And it is also said that fascia delivers consciousness. And it's the vagus nerve connects things with the brain. So the brain is receiving messages about the body from the fascia or through the fascia. And so the fascia helps the body to rewire the brain. And just to mention this as well, because this is important, some of the areas of the body where the fascia gets really clogged up are around the ribs and the IT band, so from the hips down to the knees. Those are big areas of fascia, and those can get quite clogged. And one of the reasons why it gets clogged up in the diaphragm is when you're holding back tears. That's where we tend to hold it, in our rib cage. So those two areas, the rib cage and the legs, are really important areas to work on when you're doing fascia stretching. And the principles of fascia stretching, and I want to just check that I get this right. And this is stuff that I've learned from Erin Tietz. Erin, E-R-I-N, surname Tietz, T-I-E-T-Z. And if you look up either her name or Fascia Fix, you'll come up with her website. And she's also got some amazing videos on YouTube. And she explains through that what actually goes on in the body when you're stretching the fascia and how to do it. And this is another important thing that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. When we've been stretching, we've kind of been stretching wrong. In terms of when we stretch, we often overstretch. We go past the end point, and that can actually lead to scarring of the fascia. So it's not the best way to stretch the body. So the better way to stretch the body, and this is where I just want to check my notes and make sure that I get this right. You shorten the muscle, you activate the muscle with resistance, and you move in the opposite direction. So a nice easy one to show you is with the bicep again. So activate the muscle first of all. So as if you're showing somebody your muscles, and then this lower part of the arm is wanting to go this way, towards the wall behind me. And this arm is going to stop it from doing so. So then you're stretching that muscle. Is that clear? So activate the muscle, and then this lower part is wanting to move backwards. So you feel that resistance in there, and once you've got it, with the other arm, still with resistance in there. So it's like they're in a little fight, but this arm's winning. This arm is going to win. And it pulls the lower arm down. And in that, it's stretching the fascia of the bicep. I hope that makes sense. As I say, Erin Tietz describes it much better, but that just gives you an idea of what the fascia stretching is, and it's kind of opposite to the way that we've been stretching. And what I've been doing with my body, because my fascia's been so contracted, which has given me chronic pain for years, problems with my tendons and my joints and my muscles. And so what I'm learning to do now is keep the body out of fight and flight, or learn what to do if it's in fight flight, if it's in that stress response. And then what I'm learning to do is stretch the fascia so it's going back, it's regrowing and going back to the places where it's been contracted from. And because the fascia will be more lubricated, then the hardening is going to disappear. And already I'm feeling differences in my body. So I tend to do the fascia stretching, do a little bit at night before I go to sleep, and in the morning. You don't always have to do that much. And the amazing thing about fascia stretching is that when you stretch the fascia in one part of your body, you're actually stretching the fascia throughout your body, because guess what? It's connective tissue. And just to highlight what can happen, if you have, just suppose the fascia under your arm is hardened and it's pulled really tight. So let's do this with the clothes. If I pull my clothes really tight under my arm, then it's really hard to lift my arm up, and it can give you pain across the shoulder. So you assume that the problem's there, but actually it can be underneath the arm, because it's all so tight there, it's really hard to lift the arm up. If it's really tight around your hips, it's going to affect your whole body. So this is why the fascia is so important, and there are some amazing videos out there that illustrate this even more. So when the fascia is contracted in certain areas, the body just doesn't move as well. So I'm finding through working with my fascia, I'm getting lots of little pops and clicks as I work with it. So I might be stretching the fascia in my shoulder, and then I find that my knee pops or my ankle pops, and that's because the fascia is all connected. So as I say, stretching it in one area actually helps the fascia in other parts of your body. So anybody with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, muscle pain, is really, I would suggest that it would be of huge benefit, if you haven't been working with your fascia already, to start doing so. And as I've been researching this, there's been certain names that have been coming up that I've been finding that are really working with the fascia these days. Let me see if I can get these right without connecting with my notes. Tom Myers is one. That's one name. Bob Schleip, spell his name Schleip. Erin Teets, as I mentioned before. Erin's teacher is called Bonnie, I can't remember her surname. Bonnie also has videos on YouTube, and she goes, her videos and her connecting point, she calls it fascia flossing. Bit of a tongue twister. Fascia flossing. And her name is Bonnie Kreutzer. I'm probably butchering these pronunciations, I do apologise. Crotzer. So that's Bonnie Kreutzer, and she, if you put her name and fascia flossing, you'll come up with her. There's Erin Teets and fascia fix. David Lesondak. His surname is Lesondak. I haven't had any books as yet on fascia, but I know he's written at least a couple of books that have been recommended. Tom Myers has also written books as well. And another lady that I found recently is Dr. Ariel Schwartz. And what I read from her was an article on fascia and the vagal nerve, which was really interesting. So Dr. Ariel Schwartz, as I say, I'm butchering these pronunciations, I do apologise. So Bob Schleip, Tom Myers, David Lesondak, Ariel Schwartz, Bonnie Kreutzer, and Erin Teets. There may be many more, but those are the ones that I've been coming across. So if this interests you to find out more, if you look up these people, you will do just that. A lot of this information came from videos that they have put out on YouTube. But there are books, as I say. Actually, Fascia and the Mystery of Chronic Pain and Fascia 101, I think those are two of the books from Tom Myers. I have to say I really enjoy fascia stretching because I can feel the benefit of it in my body. What often happens, I'll tend to just do one or two of the stretches because my muscles really shake afterwards, and that to me is a sign that the nervous system and the fascia are connecting. So I tend to do my stretches and then just lie down for a few minutes and just let everything kind of settle into place. And you can actually feel energy moving through your body differently after you've done a fascia stretch. And the bonus of fascia stretching is that you can just do it at home. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. You can choose which stretches you want to do and just do those. I like to go from head to toe, stretching the big areas, so hamstrings, the IT band, around the ribs, between the shoulders. I have actually been tight under my arms, so there's some stretches that I do for that. And the reason why I enjoy doing them is because I just feel so good afterwards. So when you do it first thing in the morning, by the time you're ready to move around, your body's online. And I do a visualization. So sometimes I'll massage, but while I'm massaging, I'm also visualizing my energy on the inside. It's as if I'm working from 2 points, if that makes sense. So I'm working from the outside of the body, but also from the inside. And I'm visualizing the fascia. And that's why that video was so helpful for me, of actually seeing living fascia, because I've got a good visual to work on. So I'm imagining my body growing new fascia. And your body doesn't understand the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So I know my body is going to respond to that by growing new fascia. And even just the fact that I'm acknowledging its presence, I'm thanking it, and really working with it on that level of connection that I never did before. And I just feel that my fascia is really grateful for that. And yeah, it just feels like it's already, in the short space of time that I've been doing this, it's becoming more healthy. I can feel it. Okay, one last check on my notes, because I keep going off on different tangents. Yeah, the other thing to mention is it just really helps when I'm doing the fascia stretching. It just really helps me to tune into my physical body. It's a strong way of being grounded fully in my physical body. A lot of us have had a tendency to kind of leave our bodies a little bit when the going gets tough. And what we're being invited to do now is be fully present in our physical bodies. Feel the feels. It's worth it, honestly. Did I mention collagen? I think I did. It's collagenous connective tissue. So there's collagen involved in that too. So just to recap, it's the largest system of the body. It's the largest sensory system and the most, the strongest of all the sensory systems. It surrounds all the muscles, all the organs, and it goes in the cells within them. It's linked to the nervous system. It organises the water in the body. So the lubrication in the body, the structure, the elasticity, transmits hormones, 250 million sensory nerve endings in there, so it's part of our sensory system, and it also plays a key role in the immune system. So move your body, connect with your body, sing to your body if you want to. Do fascia stretching, massage, and that can be self-massage with foam rollers or massage balls that you can lie on. It doesn't always have to be through someone else, but that is amazing. Connect with your fascia, do breath work and mindful movement, and connect with your vagus nerve. And if you do all that, your body will be super grateful and will work much better for you. So there we are. I hope I've mentioned everything that I intended to. If I haven't, I shall add it on. Thank you for watching this if you're still here. I'm Denise, as I said. My YouTube channel is Inner Peace with Denise. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I send you lots of love from my heart to yours. Blessings of love, and thank you very much for joining me. Love, 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 love.